Drive Time Radio with New York Vinnie.
On this week's edition of Yo, Vinnie, what are you driving this week? What if I could show you?
Yo, Vinnie, what are you driving this week?
Have a little fun. It is a fun day here out at
You're listening to Drive Time Radio.
Remember, just plug in. I'm ready.
Well, whether you're a fan of electric or gas, you're a fan of Drive Time Radio. If you're tuned in, good Saturday morning to you. New York Vinnie here with you, hanging out on a Saturday morning in front of Feller's Garage. By the way, many people ask me, where is Feller's Garage? Is that an actual place? And yes, it is an actual place in Mount Lebanon, Pennsylvania. It's this building that has been there for obviously many years. I actually wanted to try to buy it at one point, but it wasn't for sale. But yes, it's in Mount Lebanon, Pennsylvania, just outside of Pittsburgh on Route 51, I believe. And right at the junction of Mount Lebanon and Castle Shannon and a couple of different townships that come together there. So anyway, that's where it is. And we are in Edmonds, Washington, coming to you live on this rainy Saturday morning. I got a good show planned for you today. We're going to have our updates on stuff that's going on in the world of automotive. And it's some big news. We got the luxury car rankings, which I always find fascinating. There's a couple of really interesting things that happened in the year 2025, the luxury car sales. The leader is still a leader, but the list has changed a bit. And it'll be interesting to old-timers like me to see who's moved up on the list. So that's something that's I think is going to be interesting that you should hang on for. Also, we'll have our Spotted this morning, another edition of that. People liked that feature last week that we introduced it a couple of weeks ago. We're talking a little bit about Tesla, too. I want to remind you that the show is sponsored by my good friend George Jackson Promotions. He is, he's a star when it comes to, business items, things that you need, business specialties, whether you need jackets, whether you need T-shirts, whether you need promotional items, like things that you hand out at a remote, if you do a remote with a radio station, or if you are a radio station, and you hand out pens, you hand out, I don't know what they hand out these days. One time it was fidget spinners. Another time it was, things change as our lives go on. Well, George supplies all of that stuff, awards, everything. Does all by the internet. And the thing that's great about George is that you deal with a person. You're dealing with George. You're not dealing with a monolithic corporation or some kind of person that got onto a computer program of some kind, and they're on Shopify or whatever those different programs are that get people to have online businesses. And I don't knock people with online businesses, but wouldn't you really rather have a Buick? Wouldn't you really rather deal with somebody that you can call up and say, hey, George, I need this. I need that. How long will it take? Well, hang on a second. I'll tell you. Boom, 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 boom. And George gets back in. He calls you. He tells you if there's something that you need. Hey, George, can I get this a little early? Yeah, let me call the guy in the factory. I'll see what I could do. That's the kind of service you get with George. That's the kind of guy he is. He services his customers. He knows his customers. His customers know him. And he is the best at doing this. So if you are again, thinking about awards for your sports team. Listen, I bet you George could even come up with, if you have a Seahawks club or something like that. You're one of the people who are excited about the Seahawks going to the Super Bowl. You're throwing a big Super Bowl party. You want to have some kind of, maybe it's a little late for this, but you want to have some kind of something cool to give to your guest at the Super Bowl party. Well, guess what? George could help you out with that. That's who George is. That's what he does. He's been a proud sponsor of this show for many years, and he's just a dynamite guy. So, again, if you need business promotional items, George Jackson is the guy you want to see. You can get him online at gjpromo.com. Go to George Jackson Promotions on Facebook. And he's on Facebook, on Instagram. He's on all the social media. He's a hip guy. He knows social media and deals with it in a very good way. So check out George Jackson, one of our sponsors, and a guy that, as I say, is just a great guy to deal with. I wholeheartedly endorse. I couldn't endorse anybody more than I endorse George Jackson for to do, I almost said for Congress, to help you out with your business promotional items. Okay? All right. Let's jump into the news this week because there is a lot of it, and a lot of it revolves around Tesla. Tesla, excuse me, is cutting models. I mean, it's not been a good year for Tesla. Let's face it. Elon Musk has screwed it up royally. Their numbers are down in every market, here and in Europe. They're taking a financial hit. They've sold less cars, and I don't think Musk really cares about it, to be honest with you. According to a number of sources that I believe to be very credible, his whole thing is he wants to do robots and software and space programs and all of that kind of stuff. And within a few years, either Tesla might die or Tesla might go off and be sold as an independent company to some other auto manufacturer. Somebody's interested in making autos. It seems like he has kind of lost his interest in making cars. And let's face it, he's done that, been there, done that, and now it's on to something else. This isn't like a Henry Ford where, his whole thing is around cars. His whole thing is around computers and robots and space exploration and kind of, I don't want to say more technical in cars, but because a lot of the technology in the space program and stuff is found in the cars. But what they're doing is they're cutting models. They're going to kill their luxury models, the Model X and the Model S, which are plus $100,000 cars. They're their luxury models. They are the cars that the rich people are buying if you're buying a Tesla. They got motors all over the place and luxury items, and we're supposed to have self-driving. They're full self-driving, although that's never really materialized in many of those Teslas, or full have never gotten the permits to do them in every place. Another thing that Musk wants to concentrate on is his robo-taxi business. A couple of his factories are hard-pressed turning out robo-taxis. So that's where his head is. Now, what they're going to do, what I find interesting, and he's not the only automaker that's going to do this. When you bought a Tesla, you could buy the full self-driving mode, right? FSD. You bought it, you paid for it one time, $8,000 to $10,000, and in your car, supposedly, when the FSD was ready to go, you would have it in your car. It would be installed via computer. It would be updated via computer, and you would have that for all time. Well, they now want to change that from the one time to a subscription. You'll have to pay for it every month. There's just more money in it in subscriptions. He's not the only one that's doing it. All the automakers are coming up with different subscription services, and it's the wave of the future. If you want different options in your car, you're going to be able to turn them on and off. If you want heated seats, you'll be able to turn them on and off. If you want cruise control, advanced cruise control, you'll be able to turn it on and off with a subscription. That's the price you will pay now for this, in this age of ours where there's computer stuff flying all around us in the air. It's what you have to deal with as a car owner. So I guess I can tell you, don't be upset. But the Model X and the Model S are being killed, and they're going to make the Tesla robots, I guess, in that factory. That's the way they're going with that. They're making they're going to make the Tesla robots, and those are going to be the next big thing from Tesla. So that's one of the things that you'll be looking for in the near future. Now, I don't know if that's going to make those cars go up in value, go down in value. I'm just not sure exactly how that's going to work. But if you got a Tesla, I don't don't know if you're going to be screwed or not. There's our car spotting thing. I don't know how exactly that got in there like that, but it did. So that's the news from Tesla. News from Chevrolet, reportedly, according to Autoline, the folks at Chevy are working on, you sitting down? A new passenger car. Right, it's the first time I've heard somebody working on a new passenger car all a while, but I guess they see the success of really the Koreans with passenger cars. And, the Germans to a certain extent. And they're saying, well, you know what? Maybe America needs something besides an SUV, an American car. So Chevy reportedly is working on that. As soon as we know more about it, we'll let you know more about it. But it's nice to see. Listen, I'm a car guy. I like to see cars. And I always feel that, that bad about cars being, virtually killed off in favor of SUVs. If you want to buy an American car these days, you got the Mustang, the Corvette, the Dodge Charger, and that's about it. Right? Am I leaving anybody out? That's about what the choices you have. I'm probably leaving somebody out, but those are the sports car challenges, sports car or high performance cars. There's no family sedan out there from an American car maker, unless you want to go electric. Then you have you have cars like this car that I'm driving this week, the Rivian. Excuse me, the Rivian. Listen to me. The LUCID, which is a solid car, and we'll talk more about the LUCID later. I love the LUCID, and I'm really enjoying my time in this vehicle. All right, speaking about luxury cars, luxury car sales. We have the leaderboard as they moved into the clubhouse for 2025. Nobody's surprised. BMW is on top. They've sold in the United States the most luxury cars. Right behind them is Lexus. And it's interesting because I probably would have put it the other way around if you asked me who, because Toyota is the top selling regular vehicle brand. So I would have thought that Lexus followed along with that, but no, the BMW is still in the lead. Lexus is in second place. Mercedes is in third. Cadillac has jumped over Audi for fourth place. People at Cadillac have done a really nice job. Now, they're selling electric cars, mostly. That's their luxury line. They have a nice portfolio of electric cars, but people who have some geld, some money, are looking at electric cars. And they have three models that I can think of off the top of my head that are electric cars that are, the Lyric, which is one. And they're just a solid vehicle that people, they have a very nice design. They're futuristic looking. They don't look like everything else out there, the Cadillac. And that's how it's supposed to be with Cadillac. So congratulations to the folks at Cadillac for jumping over Audi. But Audi is no slouch either. They're in at fourth place. And part of that reason, I think, with Audi is that they offer some really nice entry-level luxury vehicles. And they are built in Germany. There's no plans right now to manufacture Audis in the United States. And I think that when people go shopping for luxury cars, that's something that they're looking at. Because the buzz is on luxury cars that you're better off buying a car that's built in Germany. They just have a thing about the way they build their cars. And so Audi wins out in that category. It's good for fifth place for them. Followed by Acura, Volvo. Another company that's made some nice strides in the luxury car space is Lincoln. Lincoln has moved up on this list a couple of spots. And this is a brand that's trying hard to make a comeback. They're putting out, it's been a while since I've driven a Lincoln product. But I do have to say, I really enjoyed the Lincoln products that I drove. And I'm anxious to get into what they have now with the refinements and sample some of their stuff, because Lincoln really is a brand that I've always been a fan of. Now, I'm a Cadillac guy. I will say that up front. But Lincoln has really, I remember driving a Lincoln a couple of years ago out on Staten Island. And I mean, people were stopping and looking at it and saying, "What's that?" Was a car that appealed to a lot of people in Staten Island. Go figure. Genesis in that second to last spot, and then Infiniti. And Infiniti, of course, suffers from a lack of advancement, refinement, and new product. The part of Nissan. Nissan has been floating in the water, treading water, trying to keep their head above water. And it probably shows up in Infiniti, which has a number of, I don't want to say outdated vehicle. I mean, I still think they're nice vehicles. And actually, if you're in the market for a luxury vehicle, there are some Infinitis that are worth looking at. But it remains that they're behind in tech and they're behind in development right now. Now, they're coming out with some new vehicles. We're going to go down to the Portland Auto Show later next month, later in February, and see what they have down there. They're supposed to have a couple of new vehicles for us to look at. So I'll be interested in seeing it. The one that kind of is interesting to me too is Genesis. I have never driven a Genesis that I didn't like. I've never driven a Genesis that I felt was overticked, that I felt was, too technical. They all have lots of power. They all have a beautiful ride. They all have nice tech, including the one that has the orb. I love the orb. And I think that reflects in the gains in the car, because the biggest gains in the list, the companies that gain the most in this top 2025 luxury car sales in 2025, obviously, is Lincoln and Genesis. So people are recognizing it. I mean, let's face it, money is tight. Even among the rich people, money is tight. There's a feeling in this world of not being sure of what's going to happen. And so people probably hold on to their cars a little bit longer. And also, the tax credit has gone away. So, they're certainly trying to figure out what to do about that. There's tariffs on a lot of these cars, especially Audi. Again, they don't make any of their cars here. So Audi is probably getting hit the hardest with tariffs. But again, they, between the disappearance of the tax credits, and, you say, well, $7,500 doesn't mean that much to somebody driving a BMW, but they didn't get rich by saying $7,500 doesn't mean anything. So this is the hit list. These were the hits in 2025 in luxury cars. And so congratulations to the cars on the top of the list, and the cars at the bottom of the list. You got to try harder. And it looks like Lincoln and Genesis did try harder, and that's why they gained so much. So that's good stuff for them. All right, let's. There was something else that I had put down here, and I don't know. I somehow lost it. I don't know. Anyway, all right. Time for our new feature that I've been touting. I love having this feature, and it is we like to call it car spotting. And car spotting is, I drive around a lot. I'm all over the place. My friends are all over the place. So I tell them, if you see an unusual car while you're driving or out in the street, parked, snap a picture of it, and we'll look at and we'll talk about it a little bit. And so this picture came in. This was spotted in Mount Lake Terrace, and this is, for those of you who don't know, this was actually a car that came into this country. It's a Renault lay car based on their R5 model from Europe. Renault had been out of the United States for a number of years. They came back into the United States. Well, they came back with the Alliance, which was a little convertible that they sold in the, I think, mid to late 70s. They formed a deal, Renault did, with AMC, American Motors Corporation, what used to be known as Rambler. And so they started selling their vehicles through AMC, which was looking for some showroom traffic. They brought these cars up, and AMC shoppers were generally looking for an economy car. And strangely enough, the car took off. It was interesting how many people, bought one of these cars. It was a solid car. People loved them. As a matter of fact, I remember that the LaConner Police Department actually used one of these cars as a police car way back when. So a solid car. They had a little bit of trouble with them, as you might with any foreign car, but for the most part, the Le car was a solid vehicle. And again, one of those vehicles that didn't come up to the top of the list, but certainly was one you looked at. But the Super Mini hatchback, as it was known in France, Renault kind of built it to answer the Fiat 127. Front wheel drive, a lot of different levels and trim levels. The Americanized version of this car arrived on our shores in 1976. They renamed it Le Car. And it actually wound up being the best-selling car in Europe by the late 1970s. It didn't have a big advertising budget, but they did have some advertising. And in 1979, they started selling Renaults in the AMC network of 1,300 dealers, and the car took off. Automatic transmission became available in 1980, and a road test at the time that compared the super economy, the small cars, the Toyota, what was it, the Tercel back at the time, and the Nissan B210, and so on and so forth. It had a lot of interior room and a nice ride, and gave you 35 miles per gallon on the highway. And again, people weren't fully into economy cars, and if they were, they kind of stuck with Nissan and Toyota. They kind of were in that kind of Japanese, familiar to them. French cars had a reputation of breaking down, being problems, so on and so forth. But a lot of people loved the Le Car. It was, again, France's best-selling car from 72 to 86 when they stopped making them. Probably sold less than 1 million here. Out of the 5.5 million. This car cost $3,495 when new. Had a top speed of 75 miles per hour. And again, I think was a solid, fun little car. I actually I had a girlfriend that had one. And I remember it was kind of funny. She traded in the Le Car for a 4Runner. And I always thought that was kind of a funny thing. Trading in the Le Car for a 4Runner. I mean, you're going to go one end of the spectrum, gasoline-wise, all the way over to the other spectrum. But, I drove the car quite a lot. And it was a solid car. It was a fun car to drive. It didn't go fast on the highway. I mean, it got up to 75, 80 miles an hour. So it barely kept up with traffic in California, where I lived at the time. But it handled nicely. It was really fun to take on, back roads. If you got off the freeway and onto some of the roads heading up to Tahoe, or, in Central, just some of those nice windy mountain roads, it handled really nice. Had a nice suspension. Again, it might have struggled going up a mountain or two, but it was fun to drive. The Renault Le Car. So that's this week's Spotted. If you happen to see a car that you think would be cool featured on Spotted, snap a picture. and send it to me. Vinnie at drivetime-radio.com. That's Vinnie at VINNIE at drivetime-radio.com. And that'll who knows, maybe you'll get featured. Your car, the car you snap, will get featured on Spotted. All right. I want to remind you also, and if you're watching us on YouTube, please like and subscribe. And even if you're not watching us on YouTube, go over to YouTube, punch in Golden V Media or Drive Time with New York Vinnie, search us out, and like and subscribe us. I'm close to 1,000 subscribers. I want to get to 1,000 subscribers. And yeah, I'd really like to get there. And that's just on YouTube, 1,000 subscribers. I mean, we have a load of subscribers. X has really been good to us. X has really brought a lot of people to Drive Time. So I know not everybody is the biggest fan of that platform, but it's hard to deny that people pay attention to it. And of course, we're on Instagram and we're on Facebook, which has always been like kind of our main spot, the main place that we broadcast. So that's something to, if you could help me out with that, I would appreciate it. All right. Let's spend a couple of minutes talking about expired tabs. We got to talk about it. We got a couple of things with tabs this week and license plates. We'll get to collector vehicles in a couple of minutes. But I want to get into the crackdown that's going on. There are over 500,000 drivers. Some say as many as 600,000 drivers with expired vehicle tabs. You know what a vehicle tab is. If you're driving, if you're watching this show, you know what a vehicle tab is. But over 500, as they say, close to 600,000 drivers with expired vehicle tabs. There is legislation that says this was supposed to be as of January 15th. Now, the legislation is going through, but I suspect that the state patrol and the local police departments are starting to enforce this. We're hearing stories that it's being enforced early. They are going to raise the fines for expired tabs to $150 to $248. And also, they will get the power to impound your vehicle if you drive without tabs. There's no grace period. Current infractions are $145 to 0 to 2 months expired, $237 for longer durations. People tend to, go to court on these cases, and they can plead it down to the minimum fine. As long as they have proof of insurance, that usually is what takes place in these cases. People understand, judges understand that you hit on hard times. And to be quite honest with you, the fine is cheaper if you live in Snohomish County, if you live in King County, if you live in Pierce County, because of the surcharge that's put on your tabs because of the transit system that's being installed. You pay an extra surcharge. And there are stories of going to register new cars where it's, over $1,000 for tabs, for plates. Now, what this bill is also going to do is it's going to give parking enforcement agents the power to ticket your car when you're just parked out on the street. So you got that car that you've had for a while, and you you haven't paid the tabs on it because you don't want to pay the extra money for it's not $15 anymore. Now it's $315 to register your car. So you just leave it parked in front of your house. You leave it parked in your driveway. Well, police will be able to impound those vehicles, and they also will allow parking officers to go on to private lots. So if you park your car, let's say, in the Safeco Field or T-Mobile Field parking lot, imagine this scenario. So you pay $75 to park your car at the T-Mobile garage parking lot. And while you're at the game, a parking enforcement agent, because that is deemed public property, because it's a public facility, will be able to drive through that parking garage and look for expired tabs. And if you have an expired tab, they will be able to write you a ticket for $242 and also have the power to impound your car. And you know that the towing services are going to look at that as a gold mine. You know, if you go into Safeco Field's parking lot or, Lumen Field, I mean, don't just pick Safeco. It's not just the Mariners, but it's the Seahawks. It's, Key Arena there, the Climate Pledge Arena. You're going to park your car, a lot that's on public property downtown. You know that they're going to go after you. And to be honest with you, they wouldn't be wrong. Just because you don't like the tax doesn't mean that you shouldn't pay it or shouldn't suffer the penalty of paying it. I know you don't, listen, I know a lot of people don't like paying for sound transit. I don't mind paying for sound transit because I know a lot of people that get use out of it. I've been an advocate for a long time of transit in this area. I remember when we had nothing. Zero, zilch. Now, you can jump on Sound Transit over here at Mount Lake Terrace and be downtown in a flash, go right past the traffic. I think it's great the way they built it too, next to traffic. But I wish there would have been a different way that it could be funded. What I really wish is that they would have built it 25 or 30 years ago, so that it wouldn't have cost the phenomenal amount of money that it cost to build in 2020, the early 20s here, the roaring 20s. So that's what you're going to have to deal with. Again, if you have a vehicle that has expired tabs, you'd be best to get your insurance, get your act together, and go down to motor vehicles or just go online and register it at the Washington State Department of Licensing website. You can even sign up for email notifications when your tabs expire. But, much as the electric car owners escaping paying gasoline tax in this state for the improvement of our roads and so on and so forth, it's unfair for you to drive your car with expired tabs, because the rest of us have to pay for you not driving with the tabs. You're in essence, you're stealing. And I know that's hard. You're saying, Vinny, what are you talking about? But if you want to drive a car, you should have the money to be able to drive the car. Now, would I like to see the price of tabs rolled back? Would I like to see some other kind of mechanism to fund the transit system? Yes. But voters voted on this. And I guess they thought that this was the fairest way to fund sound transit. And before you say it, let me, if you register your vehicle in another state, and I know a lot of people register their cars in Oregon. If you do that to avoid Washington taxes, it's a gross misdemeanor that potentially could cost you 364 days in jail. Now, I don't know. I've never heard of anybody going to jail for um, out of state license plates. I have heard of people going to jail for expired tabs. They get pulled over and they they get pulled over because of the expired tabs and they have something else wrong. A warrant for their arrest for something. They didn't pay child support. They didn't do this. They didn't do that. Or even their name got mixed up and the cops lock them up and enforce that warrant. So the best thing is, as much as it hurts, is to swallow the pill. And if you want to drive that car, pay the tabs. Another pro tip I would give you is if you have that car parked in front of your house, you figure out a way to get it off the street and deep into your property or a friend's garage or something like that. Because I got a feeling that once this thing hits, that, the police are going to be vigorous in enforcing the law. In some cities, many cities, as a matter of fact, I know that in New York City, the people that are in charge of writing tickets out, parking tickets, have cars that have license plate readers on them. And at night, they drive up and down just residential areas, blocks, and they scan the license plates and they find ones that either have unpaid tickets or expired tabs or some kind of warrant or hold on the vehicles, and they impound the vehicle. You come out of your house and there's no car in the parking space you parked it in. And you got to go down, you got to pay the fines off, you have to pay the towing charge. And then, only then, when you get all of that straightened out, do you get your car back. It's a horrible feeling. I've had it happen to me where I've parked a car in New York City, come out of the house. Now, I parked in a bus zone, a bus stop. Even though it was a long bus stop, I had a handicap sticker and I was all the way back in the bus stop, not blocking anything. Buses could get in there easy. That was never no mine. When people are out to tow your car to make a profit, any little thing will get your car towed and get them an extra $400 or $500. And that's what it cost me. I think it cost me $535 or something like that to get my car back from the pound. I had to pay the ticket, I had to pay the towing fee, and I had to pay an administrative charge. But at least I got the car back on the same day. Because that's what they're interested in, getting the money. But it's something that you need to pay attention to. We'll keep you updated on this as it goes along. But please, I know there's a lot of you out there that have expired tabs. And listen, we need all the listeners we can get. So do that. Take care of that, okay? Let's see. What do we have here? We had a couple of messages this morning. I don't know who Clarkston Media Connections are, but they are listening to us. Hello this morning to them. Krishna is also listening this morning. Hello, Krishna. We are broadcasting from Edmonds, Washington. That's where Drive Time Radio emanates from. Edmonds, which is just north of Seattle, Washington. That's where we come to you from. All right. Some more news about license plates. And this is a story that's been around for a bit. But we're going to get into it with this. If you drive a car with Washington collector plates, effective January 15, 2026, things have changed for you. Washington State has implemented stricter requirements for collector vehicle plates. Senate Bill 5127 was passed, and it says that you have to now prove that you have a second daily driver before you will be issued collector plates. You have mandatory special insurance, and that you abide by stricter usage limits. Because you have to have, again, provide proof of ownership, registration of a second vehicle that you use for daily work or commuting purposes. Collector vehicle insurance is required. Strict limits to car club activities, exhibition parades, and occasional driving is also there. The Department of Licensing will be sending out letters to audit people with the collector plates. If you fail to respond to those letters within 45 days, they will revoke your plates. The horseless carriage plate, which is on older cars, has now been updated to vehicles that were manufactured before January 1, 1916. So your vehicle has to be 110 years old for it to get horseless carriage plates. I know that there are some people who have those plates on their cars. If you use restored Washington license plates, like I had on my Corvette, which are plates that are the same year as the vehicle, they are also subject to the new daily driver and insurance requirements. Failure to meet these requirements or providing false information can result in cancellation of the collector registration and requirement to surrender the plates. And again, I got to be honest with you. I have seen over the years many, many abuses of this law. Many people who have collector plates on a car that just slips under the requirement and is a junker, fenders flapping off and, a taillight missing. I mean, some nice cars too, don't get me wrong, but cars that are obviously used for a daily driver. If it's 20 years old or more, you go down, get the collector plate, and you don't have to pay the extra money for tabs, for tabs, because they don't have tabs. They don't expire. You have to pay the extra money for the transit stuff. It previously has been a loophole that many people have taken advantage of. And if you have collector plates, like I do, it kind of pisses you off sometimes because you really do get upset, sometimes about people who have something that should be a privilege reserved for you. It's not a collector car. It's a hunk of junk. Now, and you see the person driving the car. God, when I lived in West Seattle, there was a couple of guys that used to drive cars with collector plates on them, old cars, and you see them driving them every day to work and back. And it was kind of, it would get you to thinking like, well, wait a minute, I'm paying all this money for plates for my car. Why shouldn't they be doing the same thing? And instead, they're getting away because they're driving an older car. They're getting away with it. I mean, there's nothing you can really do about it. But the legislature has decided that they need to find places to get more money. And this is one of the ways that they can do it. So if you're somebody who is using those collector plates, I mean, to be honest, I don't know exactly, I don't know the figures on it, but if you have a 30-year-old car, I would suspect that the cost to register that car, to get tabs, wouldn't be as much as if you ran in there with a 2 or 3-year-old car. I would have to think that the value of the car has gone down considerably, and that you don't have to, the cost to register the car with just regular plates on it is not so prohibitive. So that's something to be aware of. I'm sure that, to be honest with you, if this doesn't work, they're going to come up with stiffer penalties than just taking the plates away. I can see them in the near future changing this law again to say that if you drive a car with collector plates and it's not a true second ride, a true collector vehicle that you don't use every day, that that you'll pay a hefty fine. Because really, that's the only way they're going to enforce it. I'll ride it with the collector plates until I get caught, right? No skin off my tush. Anyway, that's the story with license plates. That's an update on what's going on in Washington State. Again, if you get caught registering your car out of state, Oregon, I think, has a similar collector plate law where if your car is over 25 or 20 years old, I think it's 25, you can get collector plates down there. California has that law too. So there's enough people around. I think Idaho probably has it as well. Most states now have a law that says that you can either purchase collector plates, or you can use a pair of the same year of issue plates that your car was manufactured in on your car to make it more authentic. And I think I love that. I mean, I had them, like I said, I had them on my 72 El Camino. I had them on my 62 Corvette. And they were really a fun, I know it sounds like a stupid little thing, but, if you're in a car show and you park your car and you have that same year plate on it, it's kind of a finishing touch to the restoration or to the displaying of a car at a car show. I just think it's really something that adds that fine little touch. And those plates are big business. There's people that collect scads of them and go out to these shows and sell them. Geez, I got a stack of them. As a matter of fact, I have a set of Washington, tow trucks had a different plate than a regular truck. I think they still do, actually. But I have I've been wanting to rebuild a 73 to 75 Chevy tow truck. 73 to 76. Yeah, last year with the round headlights, the square body truck with the round headlights. I've been wanting to find one of those and rebuild it like my old truck was. My old tow truck was. I'm kind of thinking, my last project, my last car, my last collector car. So, from time to time I look and I have a series of collector plates that I've been hanging on to in case I get that particular year of tow truck. Very cool. I wonder if they're going to make the state legislature pay for those plates now that they get to use. Of course, they have those, state legislators have special plates. Although, to be honest with you, I probably wouldn't let anybody know I was a state legislator, especially in cars after this license plate stuff. I can only imagine that there are people that aren't happy with this whole thing. So, Keep that in mind. All right. I want to once again remind you that the show is brought to you by GJP, George Jackson Promotions. If you need business promotional items, George Jackson is the guy to call. Personal service. Remember what that is, folks? That's what they used to give at Nordstrom. They probably still do give it at Nordstrom. Personal service. That's what you get when you lose a bag at Delta Airlines. Personal service. They do their best to help you find a bag. There are people down there at Delta that are wonderful at doing that. They know what they're doing. And they go the extra mile to find your bag and get it to you. So that you're not running around Seattle with, just your underwear, your skivvies, There's people that are specially trained, been there a long time, know how to find bags. Well, the same thing with George. I don't think he probably knows how to find your bag from an airline, but he certainly knows service. He certainly knows if you tell him, George, I want to buy this to commemorate that. I want to buy T-shirts. I want to buy this. I need this for my business. George can give you a suggestion and help you out. He'll sit with you and he'll work on his catalog of stuff from all over the world, whether it's, an iPad case, a pen, a pencil, a jacket, a T-shirt for your event, anything that's a business promotional item, George is going to be able to help you with that item. George is going to be able to find out what the item is and get it to you. Toot sweet. And that means quick, by the way, for those of you who might not know what toot sweet means. he will get it to you. But a good guy, and again, as I said, a sponsor of this show for many years. If you have the occasion to need something like that, or you hear that your boss or your sports team or whatever is in the market for that kind of thing, then by all means, please give George a holler. Jump on his website, which is gjpromo.com. Look for his Facebook page. Find him on Instagram. It's GJ Promo, George Jackson Promotions. And I guarantee you'll be happy with the service that he gives you. You'll be happy with the way George treats you. You will be happy, I think, with the way that George does business. And it'll be something that I think you'll be quite you'll be calling me up and saying, or send me an email saying, Vinny, I'm glad you turned me on to George. I'm glad that you helped me out to find George Jackson. I found a reliable, good guy to do business with. And in these days of people being unreliable, of people being not able to fulfill what they're supposed to do, it's refreshing, downright refreshing to have people that stand behind what they do and are able to, give you service, help you accomplish what you want, what you are trying to do. For something that is, a simple task. I mean, I know I've ordered this stuff before, and it's not It's not easy. It's not an easy thing to, do it by internet. You do it with George, you got somebody on the line. All right, let me get this. Review up pretty quick here. Hopefully, trying to get it on there going. And all right, so we have Yo Vinnie. What are you driving this week? Which is a cry that we always come up with on this show. And what am I driving this week? Look at this. I am driving a car that I've talked about on this program several times. It's made our top 5 list a couple of times. This is truly, I think, one of the more exciting vehicles. And with Tesla now going, kind of contracting their model line, this is a car that bears looking at if you're somebody who was thinking about buying a Tesla, and that is the LUCID Air. This vehicle has phenomenal range, over 400 miles of range, great performance. You get 431 miles with the touring model. If you get the Grand Touring model, get up to 512 miles. Look at the luxuriousness of the cabin of this vehicle. There are no cheap materials being used here. Everything is simple. It's intuitive. It all runs off of a large pad that's in the middle of the vehicle on the console. And it gives you so many options of how you want to drive this vehicle. The Touring is a dual motor all-wheel drive, 620 horsepower, 431 mile range. It's got a great frunk that has a lot of room. It's got a great trunk that has a lot of room. So there's a lot of room to carry stuff along with you on your trip. But there's also a lot of room for you, the passenger, and a lot of comfort for you, the passenger. The ability to set the mood in the vehicle for you, the driver or the passenger. The flat flooring and the exceptional legroom in the back, the ability to fit 4 people plus the driver in this car comfortably, make it a winner in so many ways. The roof on this car is spectacular. I mean, you get in there and there's room. I mean, I had I know this is kind of crazy. I bought one of these 3-cornered Revolutionary War type of hats, and I could fit in the car with the hat. It has driver assistance systems, Dream Drive, which is the one that the vehicle has, and it really is top tech. This car is a technical wonderland to begin with, but their ADAS is spectacular. I got it out on the highway a little bit over the last couple of days. Going to take it for a longer run today. But all of the systems that are in the car seem to be designed for simplicity and for knowledge, and to assist you, the driver, in having the safest possible journey that you can have in the car. The sound in the car is beautiful. It has a 21-speaker Surreal Sound Pro system that's controlled through the steering wheel, satellite radio, of course, and all that stuff. A low drag coefficient. The frunk and the trunk give you plenty of room to store stuff. And the vehicle that I'm driving, which is a Pure, is tickets out at $102,000. Again, this is a vehicle that is a luxury vehicle. It's not for everybody. I think we know that. I think we're familiar with that. But it's just one of those vehicles, as I said, I've driven it a number of times on short journeys. I'm so excited to drive it on a longer journey and to experience this car. This is a car that when you get in it, when you drive it, you feel like you're driving luxury. You feel like you're driving something superior. And the thing I like about the Lucid, too, is you have this Tesla-like. As a matter of fact, I think it's better than a Tesla, to tell you the truth, because you don't get the body rattles and rolls and shakes and all of that kind of stuff that's in a Tesla. Now, the Tesla may have more developed tech. I don't know. I haven't compared them head to head. But I will tell you that the tech in this car is enough for, I think, anybody, unless you're you're the president of Microsoft or something like that. And you need all that tech to play with. But again, this is the car that I'm driving this week. I'm going to take it out and give it a run for its money up and down I-5 and out to the mountains and see how it handles, see how it covers the Joe, our test track that we have up near Darrington, Washington. And we'll go up there and we'll see how this thing does. I have a sneaky suspicion that it's going to be just fine. And you will lose with a 431 mile range. You'll lose a lot of the range anxiety because you know that you charge it up at your home charger in the morning. You go out, half a day at 431 miles with moderate use of the electric accessories in the car probably gets you halfway to San Francisco, doesn't it? Or pretty close to it. I mean, I've driven that route from here to San Francisco and back in an electric car. And it can get to be a pain sometimes. But that range really makes a difference on road trips. And it's a comfortable car on a road trip. Or at least the short road trips that I've taken with it. So again, it's the Lucid Air. That is our Yo, Vinnie, what are you driving this week car? We'll have a full review of it on an upcoming edition of Drive Time. And, let me say something about this car. Listen, it's easy to dislike Tesla. It's easy to dislike Tesla because of the owner of Tesla. It's easy to dislike Tesla because people kind of consider them to be the rudest drivers on the road, the most entitled drivers on the road. And maybe some of that is true. I try to look at it through the lens of which is the best car for my purposes, which would be a car that serves a lot of purposes. Helps me commute back and forth to work. Gives me a pleasurable drive on a Sunday when I load my family into the car and take it for a spin, which is going to be the nicest car on a picnic, which is going to give me the least headaches, which is going to be a car that when something goes wrong, the people at the car company are going to be eager to get it fixed and resolve the problem. Because let's face it, we know not much about these cars. This isn't a car that, something goes wrong and you roll over to the side of the road and you jump under the hood and you fix it. This is a whole different ballgame. Has to be attended to by people that know what they're talking about. And so you're at the mercy of the car company. And if I'm going to be at the mercy of a car company, I'd rather be at the mercy of a car company that I enjoy doing business with. It's that simple. Or a car company that has a reputation. I don't know Tesla's reputation. I hear good stories. I hear bad stories. I know the Teslas that I have been in have shaked, rattled, and rolled. And I think the Cybertruck is a mess. I think it was something that was rushed to production because Elon Musk said it had to be in production by this date. And so shortcuts were taken. This conventional design ploys were disregarded. And you came out with the Cybertruck. Some people love theirs. Some people really think that they're a spectacular truck. They're certainly different. And I applaud people that do something different in the car business. I don't want a world of all cookie cutter. But the LUCID appears to give the combination of good handling, good road feel. It is a bit noisy. I will say that the noise factor on this car, and I tend to think it's because of the type of tires that it's on 20-inch wheels, and I forget the type of tires that it's on, but that might be something that you would look at before you bought one. But it's not overly noisy. It doesn't drive like a truck. All of the systems in the car are easy. And I'll tell you one thing that I've seen in this car that I have not seen in any other car that I have driven since these nav systems have become standard on the cars. You know, when you have those systems, as you get closer to an object, you know, lights go off, beep, 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 for, you know, if you're getting close to an object, if you're getting close to a wall, and it beeps. The LUCID also tells you how many inches you are away from the car in front of you or the object in front of you, or how many inches you have to the object behind you. And it sounds like nothing, right? Sounds like, oh, you know, what do you need that for? But I'm going to tell you that it's a worthwhile thing to have. I have to admit that I really it helped me in parking the car. It helped me a lot in parking the car to have that information. And I know it's a small thing, but it really helped me out in parking the car yesterday and the day before, when I started, you know, when I had to park it, when I had to get it going. It was really you know, 12 inches, 24 inches. It gave you, you know, we're used to inches, and it gave you an idea of what was there. It gave you a solid idea of what the area was, not just a light going off and buzzing in your ear. So that's the LUCID. We'll have, as I said, we'll have a full review of it coming up in a future Drive Time Radio. All right. That is going to do it for another week of Drive Time Radio. I can't believe that we're through a month of 2026 already. The Detroit Auto Show is past. The New York Auto Show is coming up here. Spring training is right around the corner. And it's, you know, the days are flying by. And I thank you for listening to the show, as we always do. I hope that this show gives you, and I try to do that. I don't bring up political topics much in this show, because what I want to do is create a place where you feel away from all of that for an hour and change every week. That you just feel like, if everything else is crazy, if I can't get away from this or that or the other thing, I have an hour with Vinnie every week that I can, you know, I can get away. I can find out what's happening in cars. I can check in, see what he's driving, see what old car he looked at. We're not doing brain surgery here. We're just trying to entertain you, and our means of entertaining you is my take on cars. I hope that you enjoy it. If you do enjoy it, please do me a favor. Hit the like and subscribe. Let me go back to the LUCID for a second, because I did a better movie than the one that I showed you before. And I really want you to see it. So I'm going to go back to the
Yo,
LUCID
Vinnie, what are you driving this week?
just for 1 second here. All right, and this will be
Yo,
a fun
Vinnie,
one.
what are you driving this week?
As I said, this Lucid Air is a spectacular looking car. And why I wanted to show you this is it'll give you, I have interior shots in here, and the front, it'll give you a better look at what, for some reason, I couldn't get it load before, but it loaded while I was talking to you, and so I wanted to give you a look at it. A solidly beautiful car, and a car that you'd be proud to drive up to any golf club, any facility. Look at the luxury of that interior. It really is spectacular looking. Plenty of back seat room, plenty of leg room, flat floor. I do have to admit the cup holders were a little disappointing. I would have liked to have seen a little bit bigger cup holders in that thing. But, you know, you can always fix that, right? The switches are easily accessible. The two screens, actually, it's funny, the two screens kind of work together. This upper screen, it's on the dashboard, and the lower screen, it's on the console. They work together. They're easy to read. They're logical, and they give you the most information I think I've ever seen in a car. You can find out just about anything that's going on in this car. See the inches in the spectacular camera system. Those are the tires that are designed for an electric car. This is the trunk, and all of the space that the trunk gives you, and there's a considerable amount of space in the trunk. And then we're going to, I think, go around to the front and give you an idea of what's going on in the front as well. Very nice. You know, it has the design of kind of, I mean, when I look at it, it kind of evokes the remember the Buick Riata? This is the front. You go in there, and you have huge space in this thing. That is a hideaway space that you can put stuff in, keep it out of the eyes of the prying public. But that is the LUCID. That's the inside. And I really want to show you the inside of the vehicle too, because it's such a luxurious vehicle that it's worth taking a look at. All right. As I said, that's it. That's all. I'll be back next Saturday at 11 o'clock, a minute or two after, and we will do this all over again with different cars, different news. Same Vinnie. Sorry, man. What can I do for you? Thank you all so much for listening. We'll actually talk to you before the big game on next Sunday. You know, I'm interested, by the way, one more quick thing. If you are driving down to the game, and I know a number of people are going to be driving down to the Super Bowl, I would be interested in hearing from you. I would be interested in you dropping me a note at Vinnie at drivetime-radio.com. I would. I want to see if maybe I can do a feature with somebody that's driving down there, and maybe have them be our reporter on I-5. I suspect that there's going to be a lot of Seahawk fans on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. What tickets cost, $4,500 a piece. I suspect that there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be sleeping in their cars down at the Super Bowl. And be careful because, word is that the ICE is going to be there too, looking to snatch up people outside the Super Bowl. So mind your P's and Q's, huh? All right, that's it. We'll see you next Saturday if the Lord's will and the creek don't rise. Until then, drive safely, peace, love, and Manischewitz, baby. And as Michael would say, what a wine. Take care of yourselves, folks. Thank you for listening.